Hey everybody, Brandon Clifford here, Global Franchise Solutions, franchise consultancy firm based in Southern New Hampshire. Providing consulting services to those who are seeking franchise ownership. Playing matchmaker, connecting awesome entrepreneurs with great franchises. Today we're going to shift gears a little bit. I have a good friend of mine, Paul Corrigan, from his company's called Rosetta Valuations, and we're going to talk about something that I'm sure every business owner thinks about on a daily or weekly basis, which is how much is my business worth? And I think it's really important to understand that and understand how to increase the value of your business so that you can accomplish what is most business owners' goals, is to sell your business for top dollar someday. So, Paul, hey, thanks for joining us today. It's great to have you on. How are you today?
Brandon, thank you so much. Doing really well.
Awesome. So yeah, just jump right in here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and your background and how Rosetta Valuations got started.
Well, I have a long and I've had owned several businesses. I had a computer firm in the late 80s or early 90s. I switched into financial planning, so I had my CFP. And in about 2007, I went into business brokerage, and I still do that. I have my CPI, Certified Business Intermediary. But I always say I'm sort of a spreadsheet nerd kind of guy. The numbers always had to make sense to me. So I got very involved with what is the value of a business and how do I report back to a buyer, a seller, a bank, what I think this business is worth. I got certified as a CVA, Certified Valuation Analyst, in 2016 and started Rosetta Valuations as an independent company at that time. So I still do business brokerage on one half, but my other shoe is strictly business valuations, doing valuations for SBA deals for lending institutions, but I also do the litigious cases, whether it be divorce, partnership breakup, IRS, whether it's estate, gifting, or dispute.
Awesome, very cool. So I know you probably run into lots of crazy, situations, and everyone thinks their business is worth more. It's like, you think your kid's better looking than it really is, or whatever. It's your baby, right? But what would you say is the number one thing that a business owner can do, like maybe even do today, starting today, that will raise the value of their business?
Well, the best value of a business is the cash flow, is a multiple of the cash flow that it generates. Or people like to think in terms of multiples of cash flow. So just like investing, if you invest in IBM stock, you expect a certain rate of return, and that's where the share price of a stock comes from. It's the expectation of what income will I receive from that investment. Same thing with a business. So the easiest thing that an owner can do is to just trim your expenses, look at your cost of goods. And one of the things I do is look at the industry averages, whether it be through IRS reports, through just business reports, or through what's called RMA, which is a compilation of what SBA deals have collected. So it's a compilation of all the funding that has been done through other businesses. You can get averages of that and look at how is your business doing compared to everybody else in the industry. Are your cost of goods higher or lower than your competitor? Well, a good example is what I always say is payroll expenses. Everybody uses a payroll service, and that is probably the single biggest, not a big expense in the sheet, but I see a factor of 5. Where a client may have 10 employees, they pay them once a week. Identical company next door, they're either paying 5 times more or 5 times less. So it's really just looking at your expenses and making your business look as profitable as possible. Don't go trying to hide expenses and mess with the IRS. That'll come back to bite you.
Absolutely. No, and I always like to say that too. I mean, you could either increase sales or cut your overhead, right? And the easiest thing to do is probably to cut your expenses. And so when you're coming across different businesses, I'm sure you see lots of mistakes that business owners make, like you said, trying to hide expenses, things like that. But what is like the biggest mistake that you see, most common seen mistake that business owners make that negatively impacts the value of their business?
Well, for most small owners, the worst, and if you're an entrepreneur tends to make everything about himself. And so it's their name on the company, they make every decision. And one of the typical questions I ask is, how long can you go on for vacation before the business sort of tends to fall apart? And if it's my business would fall apart if I'm gone before Friday, you're not ready to sell your business, because you need to have the systems in place. You need to have your staff trained. You need to have the software, the whatever accountability you have within the firm in place so that you can go on vacation. If the owner says, gee, I can go on vacation for 3 months, yeah, there's still phone support or whatever, but everybody knows what to do and how to handle the clients, then that business is ready to sell. So you need to, as I always say, unfortunately, Lincoln outlawed slavery in 1863. I can sell corporate goodwill, but I can't sell personal goodwill. I can't sell you, Mr. Owner, because you're leaving the business.
Sure, 100%.
So make the business something that the new buyer, the new owner, can jump right in and take over.
Absolutely. No one wants to really buy the job. You know what I mean? They want to buy a business. And if you don't have those systems in place, you have no exit strategy, you don't really own a business. You just own a job, and it's a risky job. Absolutely. So
right.
Anyone who's looked into business, to buy into business before or thought about selling their business has heard this term SDE. Okay. And it's obviously important to understand. So why don't you share with us what does SDE mean and why is that important to a prospective buyer?
Well, SDE stands for seller discretionary earnings. And the easiest way I can put it is it's all the expenses that the owner chooses to put on the business, but it's not necessary for the ordinary day-to-day running of a business. So an example is the owner's pension, perfectly legal, he can take it. The new owner may or may decide he doesn't need a pension. Could be health insurance. Another great example is telephone expenses. You may have all of your children's cell phone bills going through the company, the company account that's handling both personal and individual expenses. Those kind of things can be pulled out and should be made aware of to the new buyer, to a buyer that this is what the current owner is doing. It's all legal, nothing wrong with it. But you as a new owner don't need to do that. Now, many new owners may choose to do the same thing, but they don't have to. So the goal is with SDE is to create a number that is a pure financial number that represents the true cash flow of this business. It also includes the owner's salary because the new owner, again, the old owner may tend to be an older individual. The new owner may be 20, 30 years younger, so the health insurance costs are lower. He may have a much lower cash flow need for his own personal lifestyle. So that leaves, so we want to sort of pull all of those individual characteristics about the old owner and show the new owner how he can take advantage of that cash flow.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's say I'm a business owner, I'm thinking about selling. How soon should someone talk to you, before they decide to list their business?
Well, I mean, I always tell people if you said, I want to sell my business today, don't expect to receive the check until a year from now, at the very earliest, because by the time you market it, going through the financing process, if there needs to be financing, is a 60 to 90 day process. So, but I always recommend owners that are thinking about selling, maybe get a valuation 2 or 3 years in advance, so you know where your weak spots are. And I like to sort of point out, every business has what I call a few warts on. Everybody could do maybe a little better marketing, maybe more social media, maybe their financial systems aren't where they need to be. Hopefully it's not a shoebox, full of just receipts. Get those things up and clean, because anything that's unclear, non-transparent, muddled, it's going to make a buyer think twice about that business, and they're going to lower the value because there's that uncertainty factor. So any way you can make the business as clear and as clean as possible is going to raise the value of that business.
All right, awesome. So let's say I just watched this. I want to sell my business in 2 years, or maybe even 3 years, and I want to talk to Paul so I can learn more about getting that valuation done. Let everyone know how they can reach you and how they can find you.
The easiest way is my cell phone, 617-320-4812, or you can feel free to email me. It's paul.corrigan, that's CORRIGAN, at Rosetta Valuations, all one word. That's ROSETTA, valuations with an S.com.
Awesome. Well, Paul, I really appreciate your time. Guys, I encourage you to check out rosettavaluations.com. Obviously, also head over to www.globalfranchisesolutions.com to learn more about my business and what I do. And if you found any value at all in this video, please like it and share it with your audience as well. Thanks. Have a great day, guys.